There's no question that we're living through a pivotal moment in global history. This is a time my children and their children will hear of. Survivors of another defining historical moment are using this time to share their stories far and wide. But they also want to dispel any notion that quarantine is reminiscent of the Holocaust.
If resilience means anything, I think I'm the embodiment of it.
The embodiment of resilience, indeed. David Lenga came of age during the Holocaust, surviving years in the Lodz ghetto, in hiding, and at Auschwitz.
All my liberties were taken away.
Now, 92-year-old Lenga finds himself in the midst of another turning point in the course of human history, the Covid-19 pandemic.
You see, a different kind of tragedies happen in my life at certain times, and yet I had to pick myself up each time, dust myself off, and go on with life.
But Lenga is disheartened by any comparisons between what he endured at the hands of the Nazis and the state of the world today.
It is wrong to compare these two. These are two catastrophes that have separate identities, totally.
With the first wave of stay-at-home orders came a wave of tweets like these, invoking the Holocaust and Anne Frank's famous account of her time in hiding, while discussing today's quarantine.
We were there for 9 months, not seeing a sunshine.
Like Anne Frank, Gabriella Karen was in hiding as a young teen.
Now, how can you compare it?
She certainly has a sense of the monumental differences between the Holocaust and today's quarantine.
We have television, we have phones, we even have Zoom. We can breathe fresh air.
Karen was married for 64 years and Lenga for 55, but both now live alone. Isolation can be challenging for anyone.
They're lonely, they're not getting enough stimulation, they're not getting enough social interaction, and that is hard. It's not really good for them.
But there's particular concern for Holocaust survivors. Given the trauma they've survived, quarantine can
evoke the trauma for them of their early childhood. And even though they all were quick to say, I understand intellectually that it's not the same, trauma memory in your body is not an intellectual device.
A study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry found the most common symptoms for Auschwitz survivors are sleep disturbance, recurring nightmares, and intense distress over reminders.
These horrendous experiences that we experienced have had a definitely searing effect on our soul.
Karen, an artist, is channeling energy into her artwork, building beauty from bleak times, just as she spent decades drawing from her memories of the Holocaust to memorialize and educate. She understands the fine art of compassion.
And I'm convinced that after this will be over, the people will become kinder.
Lenga lost all but his father in the Holocaust. He's now the father of 3, grandfather of 7, and great-grandfather of 6.
Love you. Bye-bye.
A family man, he now keeps his family at a safe distance, but is comforted to know they're only a phone call or FaceTime away.
I'm a people person. I've been that way all my life. And so when I don't have that, I'm abruptly deprived of it. Obviously, I'm missing it a lot.
Karen and Lenga both stress their self-sufficiency, but are grateful to folks like Samara Hutman of the Righteous Conversations Project, who oversees efforts to deliver Shabbat food for full stomachs and weekly calls between teens and survivors for full hearts.
How do you express love and care to people when you can't be in the same space with them?
No one knows how precious life is like Karen and Lenga. Holocaust survivors, the youngest of whom are in their 70s, are vulnerable to the virus. And David, does knowing members of the survivor community have died at the hands of COVID-19 make it even more urgent to share your story now?
Absolutely, without a doubt. It is more important now than ever for one very overriding reason, and that is the survivor community is saying goodbye. I'm seeing it with all the friends that I used to have very recently, and don't have any more.
Lenga, whose memoir is already published, and Karen have spent years speaking at the Los Angeles Museum of the Holocaust. But with the museum doors closed, survivors have opened up to new storytelling techniques.
I have been trying to find a silver lining in this whole thing by taking active part in Zoom sessions.
Adaptability is a virtue that now means going virtual.
I had to adapt myself in so many different dangerous situations to survive. And I took those lessons with me to my later life. So in today's world, in today's situation, I am refusing to let what is happening around me to dictate my future life.
Lenga knows the focus now must be to eradicate the COVID-19 virus. Then he implores we must do away with the virus that is hate and intolerance. In Los Angeles, Joey Safchik, Northwestern News Network.